NFL Week 17. Is it just me, or does the season feel like it's like already dragged on like pretty long?
Yeah, it's noticeable. Like when we got to week 15, I felt like we were wrapping up, and then it's like been almost another month.
Right, and it's like because Christmas, it's like it should be wild card round, and
Yeah,
we still have Week 18.
yeah, yeah. This is usually the last week of the season. So.
Right, and there's some teams obviously they've given up already. They gave up like 2 weeks ago, so it's tough there.
I don't remember a season where there was like a few like top top teams and a handful of very bottom teams, and then this giant middle, like this giant um tier in the
Yeah,
middle.
yeah, we've kind of been talking about that like throughout the year, where there's just like from the top to the bottom. And it's weird. Sometimes on my power ratings, I think like I have a mistake or a glitch because there is such a big jump, like from like the ninth team to like the 11th or 10th, even.
Yeah.
But but yeah. Anyway, all right. So week 17, 16 games or 15 games on Sunday, then one on Monday. No Thursday night football this week. 11 home favorites. Average total over under for this week 44, which is pretty low considering it was basically on average was like 45 and a half all year. Average point spread is 7. So that's kind of showing there that what we were just talking about, the difference. An average point spread of 7 is pretty crazy. But I already have 4 best bets. I have some other bets. I'll do like a summary wrap up like I did last week with the games that I bet. But again, there's a big difference between like best bets, opinions, and then obviously games that I've bet that don't qualify as best bets. But I'll make it clear at the end of the stream, and then of course we'll have our podcast play of the week. We haven't decided on a game yet, but I'm sure we will find one. But yeah, and we're gonna kind of do what we did last week. We're gonna just go through, the board, but we're not gonna spend a lot of time on games we don't have an opinion on. So first game up though, Raiders Colts. Raiders now with basically 2 wins in like 6 days. They won on. They went to Cleveland, beat the Browns on that Monday night, and then they beat the Broncos this past Sunday. Kind of the only reason why I want to spend a second on this game is just because of the weird line history here. Raiders took sharp money early, like real early. Then the Wentz news hit. Line went down to basically a pick 'em. Then not long after that, it goes back up to 7 based on the new COVID protocol, with it being like 5 days now. And you can basically just say your symptoms have improved. I don't get how that works or how vague that.
I know it's basically become an honor system.
Yeah. Like, is a team doctor involved, or the player just can say my symptoms are, improved? I don't even get it.
Symptoms are basically a subjective thing, even if there is a doctor. So
Right.
I don't get it. But.
Yeah. So, but basically now with this COVID list, players that are added to it, if they're added on Monday or Tuesday, I'm just going to expect them to play on Sunday.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. I think the CDC came out with some recommendations saying 5-day quarantine is pretty much okay. They've kind of narrowed this down and figured out that like a couple days before you have symptoms and a couple days after your symptoms start are the when you're really contagious.
Yep.
So that's good. That's I read a little bit more about it. That's a result of vaccines working.
Right.
So that's a good step.
The current line for Indy is showing Wentz playing, even though it's still officially undecided. 7 is basically where it was before he was ruled out. If he does get ruled out, this line will likely move down to 3, I would think. Interesting matchup, though, because Colts, their running game, Raiders have a pretty good run defense. But, yeah, nothing really for this game. My number for the game is spot on, right at 7, where it currently is. So not looking to play much on that one.
Yeah, my number here has it just a tick above 7.5. It was 6.5 earlier today. 7 now, but not enough value there for me.
Yeah,
not something I'm looking to play.
All right, so next game up, we are looking a Giant. I do have a play on this game.
I do too, actually. I haven't posted it yet, but I do too.
Yeah, this was a numbers bet for me. I got the
Yeah.
Giants. On I'm sure our numbers agree and coincide, but undecided QB as of now for the Bears, but the line hasn't really adjusted for that uncertainty. It's either Foles or Field, and for the Giants, it looks like it's going to be Glennon who's going to start. But Giants head coach Joe Judge he's in the running for worst coach of the year because which would be an achievement. But in the press conference yesterday, he said he's going to start both. He's going to play both Fromm and Glennon, which makes zero sense to me.
Yeah. I agree with you here though on the numbers. This one, I just don't see how the Bears could be laying 6 to anybody.
Right. Term used a lot. Like I can't, this team shouldn't be this big of a favorite to anybody, but they really shouldn't in this spot.
They weren't they laying like 2.5 to Detroit just a couple weeks ago, and now they're laying 6 to New York. I know they won last week on the road late, but they were a 7-point dog in that game. That was a spot both of us liked.
Yeah.
Now they're laying 6. I mean, no, these teams, if any, they're ever laying these terrible teams. You get them up laying out over anything than more than 1 or 2. It's like,
right.
It's
on a neutral field. I have the Bears about 1.5 better. Right. And when you add in home field advantage, we're talking about 3. So just basically, being able to get 6 right there. But then, I mean, the Bears haven't won a game by more than 6 points all year. I'm pretty sure, unless they beat Detroit that day that you're talking about, they might have beat Detroit by more than 6, but I'm not sure. They definitely haven't been a favorite as this much all year. I know that's for sure because the Bears were underdogs versus everybody, this is kind of where, like, you look at the power rating, that's usually the first step. This gives all reason to start looking for, like, confirmation or to start digging deeper. And there's no, like, secret. The Giants stink, right? But, the Bears will be the Giants' weakest opponent they played since probably October. If you look at, like, who the Giants have played, it's all playoff teams. You got to go back to, mid-October when they played Carolina, their last team that was like a below average team. I had the Bears last week in the win versus Seattle, but even the Bears were outgained by close to 2 yards per play. And this look ahead line here too is it makes no sense. The Bears get upgraded. It's a look ahead line of 3.5, and then the Bears go and squeak out a win against Seattle, who's not really they've thrown in the towel pretty much, and then they get upgraded. This line hit 7 at one point. I caught it on the way down at 6 and posted it as a best bet. So
I bet it at 6 as well. I mean, I'll take the points all day. Bears laying this many points.
Be an early official podcast play of the week, or do you want to wait till the end?
This might be a best bet for me as well. So let's see if we can find something else.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, we'll move right along. We're going to try to keep this one going quick. Next one up, Bucks Jets. This is one, like, with the Bucks right now. I'm not really. I mean, I don't know. These two teams opposite records. Bucks 11-4, Jets 4-11. The Bucks roll last week, no problem, without their top 3 offensive players. They beat Carolina 32-6, and now they get, like, basically another bye week here with the Jets. But my number actually gets there exactly to 14.
My number's a little short. It's about 11.5. But that doesn't mean I'm running to bet the Jets either.
We talk about that all the time, how it's kind of like tough to get these bigger spreads, but definitely doesn't mean, just because the number shows a little bit of value, you got to add in the subjectivity. But
it's at 13 now.
Yeah, 13. Okay, so my number actually overshoots it a little bit, but we'll move right along. This next game, I do have another bet. All my best bets are actually 1:00 games. So it's going to seem like I have a bet on every game, but I don't really have anything to got fours.
That kind of, like, goes to show, like, it's like the opposite of what the touts do. You know what I mean? Do you remember, like, the guys we used to, like, kind of keep tabs on, and they wouldn't have a play on a 1 o'clock game all year. It would be Sunday night game or the
Oh,
4 o'clock game of the week or the Monday night game because they're trying to sell as many as possible. And if the thing comes off the board at 1, they're not selling that many.
right.
You know,
They always have to have a play on Monday or Sunday night football. And I say this in the community all the time. Like the start time should not matter in your handicapping process at all. Like even when you
yeah,
just forget about selling picks or being a tout, but just like that should not matter, one bit. But yeah, this Falcons Bills game is pretty interesting. I'm calling it the Pythagorean game of the week because I'm sure you've noticed, but the Bills, they're number one in point differential, which basically translates into, their expected wins number being,
right.
they should have 11 and a half wins based on their point differential, which two and a
And
half.
it also speaks to their variance.
Exact. And that's something I wanted to touch on too, because since you said that, I've been looking, they're playing another bad team. They've blown out a bunch of bad teams. So I made the Bills a best bet. And, I'm laying at double digits, which, I don't like to do or don't, it's not really like a written in stone rule for me, but this is just, too good of a game in my opinion. Falcons, their point differential, they have 2.5 more wins than they should. And uh, again, my initial power rating here, like it falls short of the current number of, it's basically 14 and a half. My number gets to 11 and a half, but when we start to add in home field advantage for Buffalo, which I normally give a point and a half, but we can kind of give a bump in this spot when we have Atlanta, who's a dome team coming off playing in a dome, now going to play outdoors. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like this one too. My
Yeah,
number gets up over. It's up almost to 16 actually. A few things subjectively that I think cut in favor of the Bills here too. That you can kind of tweak it a little even further in the Bills' favor is Atlanta has picked up a bunch of wins against bad teams this year.
oh yeah, absolutely.
I think we've looked in the past and kind of been surprised at how many wins they've had, and they found themselves in playoff contention a couple weeks ago because of it. But still, in my power ratings, they're always down there with the Jacksonvilles and Detroit and Houston's of the league.
Yep.
And it's because they've picked up wins against bad opponents, but against good teams, they've been blown out multiple times.
Yeah.
And we talked about it 2 weeks ago with the Bills. The Bills, I think it was the Bills and the Panthers. They were both
Yeah.
playing in that game, and they're two of the top 5 teams in NFL history in variance, meaning like the inconsistent from week to week type
And
of
that's
performances.
history, not even just this year.
Right, NFL
Yeah.
history, and
Yeah.
they've DVOA. They've that's from Football Outsiders, and they've gone back. I think they've gone back all through modern NFL history at this point with their numbers. So I remember we talked about I like the Bills that week for that very reason.
Yep.
The variance and that kind of lends the Bills to some blowout capability.
Yep.
And it ended up happening. I think they won 31-14, but it was like 31-7 before a garbage touchdown, I think. So
Yeah.
they covered that one. This is a similar spot. The NFL is always tricky, though. It's like once you think you have something like that figured out, it's like it'll come around and bite you in the butt. But so you never know. But I do think this is a spot where I like the Bills here.
Yeah. Both teams are coming off wins. And Buffalo, deserved to win their game against the Patriots, but then you look at the Falcons, they escaped with a win against the Lions, who went 0-4 in the red zone with a backup QB. Falcons pretty much got lucky to win that game. And, if you look at the Bills, what they've done against similar opponents, or I should say opponents that I have rated similar, beat Houston by 40, Saints by 25, Panthers by 17, like you said, Jets by 28. And on paper, this is just such a big mismatch, too. Falcons number 1 in net EPA, Falcons 29th in net EPA. So, yeah, I'm not worried about laying the 2 touchdowns in this one. I think this
Bills
will be
playing some of their best ball of the year right now too at the right time.
Yep, they're in a groove. But
and they've got a lot to play for. They've got to keep winning games to win this division. So
yeah, and it's one of those going to be one of those like rare occasions where I'm on the better team.
Right.
It'll be fun to watch. Like I might even actually watch this game. But yeah, so Bills are official best bet there at 14. I think I'm laying a little juice there, maybe 115. I can't remember what the juice was there, but yeah, we'll keep it moving. Next game up, what do I got here? This will be a good one. I don't have an opinion on it really, but Cardinals Cowboys.
Yeah.
Cardinals have lost 3 straight now, and this number is starting to creep up a little bit into that zone where I don't know. I'd like to hear your opinion first because Dallas isn't -6 now. They moved to -6 today.
Yeah, Dallas this week shot up to number 1 in both DVOA and weighted DVOA, the Football
Really,
Insider metrics.
I didn't even check.
Yeah,
this
yeah, on the strength of the blowout against Washington. But Dallas continues to kind of be dominant with their defense, get turnovers,
Yeah.
and they kind of got their way through some like offensive woes, while their defense is playing well. But I think now their offense is starting to come around. They left some points on the field too last week. Their offense moved up and down the field. Let me see what I have this one. My number doesn't quite get to 6, but
yeah, I didn't think.
But it's like I think you're gonna find some people who are trying to play that game and I do it sometimes too. Get the team that's fade the team that's flying high and back the team that everyone's down on. But on this, I did that last week with the Cardinals, and they should have won that game. Cliff Kingsbury, I mean, this guy, I think he was leading the Coach of the Year market at one point this year, and now I think he's might be on the hot seat. I mean,
it's crazy.
There's a huge sample size now of him going back to Texas Tech, and his teams in the second half, they just are terrible. And I don't know whether it's a lack of in-game adjustments, whether it's like he runs out of plays. I don't know what it is, but it's gone on for a while now, and they've got some big injuries. I think they have a losing record with J.J. Watt out. He made a huge impact early in the season for their team as a run stopper, and
he's huge. It's shown how big he is for them, like in the red zone and then catching out of the backfield. That James Conner,
James Conner, and they still don't have Hopkins.
Right.
So, I kind of don't know that we've hit the bottom on Arizona here. I watched a lot of that Christmas Day game, and some of it was they missed some kicks, but some of it was coaching, where they passed up some fourth downs and tried to kick and didn't get came away with nothing, and so I don't know. These teams are going in 2 different directions right now.
And with Arizona, I mean, there's been some huge adjustments, like moving against them from like the look ahead line.
This is another spot like that. Yeah, and
look ahead for Dallas -2.5. You can probably see on screen for the people who are watching, and then Dallas goes and hangs 50 on Washington. Then it pops and reopens at 5. And Arizona, like going back to like I think a lot of people thought like they got like dominated or outplayed or whatever. I mean, Arizona put up 400 yards. So they outgained Indy. They didn't have a turnover. They only punted once, but they scored 16 points. It's like the weirdest outcome, I don't know.
Believe me, I was salty about all of that.
I have Dallas 2 points better on a neutral field. So with home field advantage, I make this game 3. So, but it's kind of scary backing them, like you were just saying, Rich, So this is a no play for me here. Moving right along. Panthers Saints next game up. Good kind of like a quarterback carousel here. I got nothing on this one. Saints had an undecided QB all week. Now it looks like Hill will play.
I had to play on the Saints last week right before the quarterback was ruled out. That was kind of snake bitten there. And I think on the podcast I gave some info on why, not only was I off the Saints, but I thought kind of Dolphins might have been the right side, especially with the quarterback out.
Yeah.
New Orleans struggles, and we talked about, they're going to have a hard time getting into double digits, and they didn't. And that game, that was an under that I liked. I said that was my favorite total of the week last week, and it soared under.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Yeah, it just I don't know where New Orleans gets points right now. I really don't. I'm staying away right now.
Yeah, this total's interesting because Carolina, five of their last 6 games have gone over, and then for New Orleans, unders 5 of their last 5. So something's got to give on this one. But yeah, not a lot of uncertainty at quarterback. Panthers look like they're going to play both Cam and Darnold. I hate that. And then yeah, staying away from there. But next game up, we got Eagles football team. This is a game I do have a bet on. I bet Washington. And I knew this one was going to need an explanation here, and I briefly touched on it in the community when I posted the best bet. So for anyone who didn't see that brief explanation, basically what initially was Washington system match on them. I posted it in the community a couple days ago. It's a simple underdog system coming off a blowout loss of 24 points or more. Those dogs are 63% against spread since 2004. It's that system 6-2 this season. It's called the disrespected system. Some guys might be familiar with it, but so then from there, that system, I go and check my rating. I make Philly minus 2.75 points. So although I'm only betting Washington plus 3.5, make the game 2.75. It's less than a full point difference, but it's a big difference around that key number of 3. And this is one of the spots me and Rich, we always talk about a buy low, sell high situation,
Right.
Everyone and their mother saw Washington get blown out on national TV. Now playing the Eagles team who's won 5, they're 5-1 their last 6 straight up. And but the Eagles have yet to beat a winning team, a team with a winning record. And I know you can't pick your opponent, but it just adds to them being overvalued. And these are 2 teams that just played 2 weeks ago in Philly. The line for that game opened Philly minus 2.5. Now, the tricky part is the line closed Philly 10, but it was all that COVID stuff on Washington. Right. So, but the market told us what this line should be. When both teams regular strength, which is pretty much what we have here, they said it was 2.5. And Washington is now probably the healthier team. Philly's run game might take a big blow with Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard looking like they're gonna miss. So yeah, I'm all over Washington. I really like this one here.
Yeah, you make a good argument for it. I didn't have a side here, but I like the system. I like the buy low here off the blowout off a national TV game.
Yeah,
all those things. It's weird. I don't think I've been involved much on either side of Philly this year. I know there's been someone in the market who, for about a 6-7 week stretch, was hammering Philly week after week, and
yeah, I remember that too. They were getting
did pretty well.
Some big betting support there, but okay, what do we got next here? Chiefs Bengals, another game I have a best bet on. So like I said, they're all 1:00 games, but it's going to get quiet from me in a little bit. But no surprise here too. The market loves this over. I kind of wish I'd got involved early. You like this over too, right?
I bet this over at 51. Kind of got on late, but I think key number of 51. I liked it. What's it now?
Yeah, it's 51.
51. I still think there's a little value there at 51.
I'm sure 51.5 will start to pop on this game, but the Chiefs are brand newly top-rated team for me in my power ratings.
There you go.
The number 1 spot, and the market here, like if anyone's looking,
you like them here? Is that your bet?
Yeah, I get a best bet on the Chiefs.
But we're a little bit on opposite sides here. A rare disagreement.
Why? You like the Bengals, huh?
I do a little bit. I haven't bet it yet, but my numbers all come in short, well short of 5, short of 3.
Oh, really? Short of 3. Yeah. Because my number doesn't fully get there, but man, from a game theory perspective, I love the Chiefs. They're fully healthy on defense, and they just get after the QB. And I think Burrow's going to get knocked around. And the Bengals' scoring output looks just drastically different against any opponents that can put any type of pressure on the QB. And yeah, Bengals secondary too. They've kind of benefited a lot from schedule lately, but
yeah, I like the over on some of the game script stuff here. I like, and actually I haven't bet it because I think my best idea here is probably seeing how the game starts off and then looking to get involved live on Kansas City. And that's part of the big reason I like the over. If Cincinnati jumps out to any sort of lead here, I think you got to back Kansas City and you got to back the over. We've seen it in the past. If Kansas City goes down any amount early in the game, they really shift gears and start throwing the ball all over the yard.
Yeah.
And they put up points, and they put up points in a hurry. So that's why I like the over here, because I think even if the Chiefs go down, and especially if the Chiefs go down, I should say, I love that game script, whatever you want to call it, for the over. If this turns into a shootout,
Yeah, I see that easily. I could totally see that.
And even if KC goes up big early, it's kind of like every week we have to wait until Cincinnati gets down for Zach Taylor to start throwing the ball, and then they start moving it.
Yeah.
So I actually like if either team gets down here, I actually like them live. If you see either team get down kind of big, couple scores early, I like either team live and either team over.
Yeah, Chiefs been a really good first half team. There's a number, it's escaping me right now, but they've outscored opponents. There's a huge margin in the first half, and they're like a really solid front runner type team because if they put teams in obvious passing downs, they can really put pressure on the quarterback. And something I got a note here about like all the DFS touts. You noticing like more like fantasy touts? Like I never really noticed them before. They're all like, Travis Kelce's going to be back. It's his homecoming. He went to Cincinnati. He's from Cincinnati, coming off of COVID, all this stuff. It's like not one thing about like, his matchup or anything. It's all about like him being from Cincinnati and it
narrative-y kind of stuff.
Right. In which I love that type of stuff. I love talking about it, but it's just,
it's honestly not the kind of stuff though you want to back with money though. Like the narrative shit. It's the shit they talk about on NFL Countdown on ESPN and that sort of shit,
Yeah, and the books will inflate his numbers too, so that's another thing there, like based off this type of stuff. But yeah, so all right, I will say KC for the 4 best bets I have posted, it's probably my weakest out of the 4. And the market kind of flipped on me a little bit too. I've already got the worst of the numbers, so it's a best bet, but it's definitely on. If I had to rank them, it's the 4th. But we'll keep it moving. We got a stinker of a game here, but it's the Patriots, so that's always good. Jacksonville, New England. Patriots 2 losses in a row. Huge number.
They're killing me on my division future. Just really, they had a chance to basically sew it up last week against Buffalo and laid an egg.
Yeah, they're laying, what is it, 16 at circa 16 and a half.
Yeah. What do you have for a number?
I think I get to, what do I have it at? I'll have to.
Mine's 15.8, so I'm almost there.
Really? Okay, 14 for what Jags. Yeah, I don't even get anywhere close. Actually, no, I get to 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Patriots. What do you give Patriots for home field advantage?
I give everyone 2.
Everyone 2 across the board. Yeah, so actually I get the 14 and a half. So I'm not too far off. I thought I was way lower, but yeah, I'm not touching this game. Next game up, we got Dolphins Titans. Yeah, Titans win, but again, they get dominated in the box score. This is
a best bet here for me.
Yeah,
love Miami here.
Yeah.
I just don't see how Tennessee is anything more than a very short favorite, and now we're up on the other side of 3. I was shocked, and it actually scares me a little bit that this hasn't been kind of bet down to 3 with more market support. But I know what the story is. People think Miami has run off a bunch of wins against bad teams, and they think Titans are getting healthy with AJ Brown back. I just think we've seen Tannehill really we've seen the ugly side of him over the last month, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. and the Dolphins lead the league in pressure rate going back over the last couple of months. I talked a little bit at the end of last week's podcast about how much I like Brian Flores as a head coach, as a
Yeah.
talent developer, as a head of a NFL franchise. And he's figured out something with this team in terms of blitzing that kind of turned their season around. Also, they got Jalen Waddle back. He got a ton of looks last week.
I had that over in receptions.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
over.
and so I like him. They throw the ball short a lot. He's a good catch and run guy. Yeah, I just my number. I'll tell you what my number is here on Miami. Yep, I have this one at just a touch over 1. So to get 3.5 across, major key number there
Yeah.
is a lot of value for me. I don't get this number, and and I get it. I get all the reasons why people aren't running to take Miami here. It's like you're jumping on at the end of the hot streak, and are you gonna jump on now? But whatever. I'll take the value.
Right.
And
I have Dolphins favored by 1 here.
yeah,
Yeah.
Some of my metrics have them as a favorite, but when I put them all together, they're a very short dog.
Now, did you see Scheffler? He tweeted an interesting stat. I posted it in the community. Miami's the first team ever to have a 7-game win streak and a 7-game losing streak in the same season.
Is that right?
Pretty crazy.
It is crazy. They were 1-7.
Yeah, right.
The playoff hunt.
Yeah. One thing I did read this week. I was kind of, I don't know, I forget what site it was, but it was all about Tua having lowest intended air yards in the league, and a lot of it they say because of his offensive lines, they get rid of it so quick. Titans can kind of get pressure there. That's kind of what turned me away from this game, because obviously with my number showing so much value, I had to look a little bit further into it, and then the whole strength of schedule thing, I'm kind of bought into that, but I can see that being overblown as well too.
Yeah, I'm trying to dig a little deeper on the numbers here for you guys. I went numbers heavy a couple weeks ago, and I felt like I was just getting out numbers, so I'm trying to go a little lighter on the numbers. But there's some, defense. Let me see here. Since week 9, when this winning streak, about the time the winning streak started, they are number 1 in EPA per play on defense. They are number 1 on success rate on defense. Drop back EPA, number 1 in the league. Drop back success rate, number 1 in the league. So in that span,
this is since the winning streak started.
Week 9, since week 9.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's when they were 1-7. So yeah, yep, week 9. Yeah. So if you just look at their passing defense has been phenomenal. Even their rush defense has been pretty good. League average about, but their pass defense has been phenomenal, and a big part of that has been they've had among the top in the league in pressure rate, and it's worked for them. It doesn't always work for everybody,
Right.
Sometimes you give up plays on the back end, but they've got a good corner or two, and they're getting to the passer. Yeah, like I said, in that stretch of time where they kind of, and you can't, and I know, look, we're just looking at the time when they won, not at the time when they lost. So is it a full picture? No. But I do think there is something to looking at just these weeks, because there was a clear shift in defensive philosophy starting around that time.
Yeah.
And so I do think that this is more representative of this team, how they're playing right now, than if you were to take the full week 1 through week 17 picture or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and they're leading, EPA per play by a pretty good margin. Negative 0.253. Dallas is negative 0.175. The other teams are all right around that kind of number. They're the only one that's up over 2, and they're at 0.25. So their success rate lowest in the league, under 37%. Drop back EPA. The only team up over negative 0.3.
Yeah, and you can't like that whole argument of, well, you can't just look at the 7 game win streak, but I mean 7 games is a pretty big sample, and what you can't just disregard it because they won all 7 of those games. So you do the same thing with other teams. You look at the 7 games, whether they won them or lost them. Now that's your only best bet, right? So far is Miami.
As of right now, yeah, that's the only one. Yeah.
All right, we
But
will.
even just one more thing, even if you look at the whole season, right, when they were on a losing streak, they're still seventh in the league in drop back EPA on defense. They're
Yeah,
still, again, seventh on success rate, eighth in overall EPA per play on defense. So it's
yeah,
not like a tale of two seasons on defense where they were terrible and now they're good and it kind of
right.
evens out.
Yeah,
They've played good all season on defense.
yeah, and I like Miami too. I'll be rooting that one in for sure for the team. 4 o'clock.
I got a little tip on EPA per play. I think we were going to talk about this
Oh,
at the
that's right.
beginning,
I
but we
meant to
didn't.
ask for members who look at the downloadable power ratings. You'll notice on the screen right now I added EPA. I did in the power rankings channel, or ratings channel. I did a brief summary of what EPA, EP, expected points, and all that stuff. But Rich was actually one of the first people I know personally who started using it, or he kind of put me onto it. And this is it's somewhat of a new metric, or it's becoming more popular now. But Rich, if you want to kind of explain a little bit about
Yeah. So EPA per play is expected points added per play. So what we're doing now, like if you take a whole game, right, and if you just tried to basically describe how good a team is by wins and losses, we know that that's flawed. We know that there's all sorts of fluky things that happen in the course of a game, bizarre penalties, coaching decisions, balls hitting the upright, fumbles. There's fluky things. So measuring a team just by wins and losses, is flawed. And so we're always trying to get the most accurate picture of how good a team is, right? And that's why, stats like DVOA and all these things have become, very important and an important part of handicapping. EPA per play is a very valuable one because you're basically you're evaluating a team like on a per play basis, like on the average play, how is, like how successful is this team? And so you're stripping out all of like a lot of the fluky things that happen over the course of a game that can swing a game in a major way, and just looking at them on a per play basis, how how many points added, um, and it's obviously a fraction, it's a fractional thing. How many expected points added do they get per play, and on defense, expected points allowed per play.
Right,
So
and they use the play-by-play data, like going back years, to figure out the expectation, right?
yes, right. So and there's a great there's a great website I use. If you stumble across it, you would think that it looks like a little bit like a clunker, but it's great because I know some guys who do their own EPA per play numbers, but this one is great. You can download it to Excel or PDF. You can, there's all sorts of filters. You can do a garbage time filter. You can filter it by downs. You can filter it by quarters. You can filter it by weeks of the season. It's should I just give out the site?
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Post it. We'll post it in the data resources channel for the members.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That way the members can get a gem rather than.
Oh, that's a good idea. I don't like to just hand out all this stuff. So
Yeah, exactly. It kind of waters everything down a little bit, but yeah. So you guys who downloaded the Week 17 power ratings, like Google Sheet, there you'll see the EPA rankings, and that's pretty much kind of a summary of what they are, and it's kind of it's a telling metric. So you got it all there: offense, defense, pass, rush, net. But we will keep it moving now and go along to the 4 o'clock games here. We got Broncos, Chargers. How about Houston last week? 9 starters out. They put up 430 yards, I believe, and 41 points in the Chargers. Chargers had 3 turnovers.
Yeah, I
Unreal.
know. I think the place was like half filled, and the Chargers were looking for a spark, and they just never got one, and they couldn't get off the field on third down. Um, they, you know, they Texans were picking up third downs all game, and I gotta say, Davis Mills, I think he's gonna be
Yeah,
their quarterback again next year,
yeah,
and this guy was like a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. He was a blue chip prospect. Um, it's those guys who are always kind of intriguing to me when they make their way to the NFL, kind of as unknowns when
yeah.
they've got the pedigree. Um, I think he did some nice things in that game. I think they were without four, their starting offensive linemen, and without their best wide receiver.
Yeah.
And
Nine
they,
total. 9 total starters on both sides of the ball.
yeah, they moved the ball all day, and that was a huge loss for the Chargers playoffs.
Oh,
I mean,
I have
this is
them.
a team. This is a team that when we look at things like Pythagorean wins and EPA per play, and then compared to their wins and losses, we're always trying to identify teams that might be overvalued because their wins and losses it doesn't match up. It's like too many wins for what their per play metrics and other metrics say. This is a team that should have more wins if you judge them based on some of these metrics. A lot of these metrics really love this team, and they've given away some games this year. There was the game where the fourth down thing bit them in the butt.
Oh,
This one, there's been some games like that for them this year. So,
yeah, they
but
point differential in the year is -3, but they've definitely had some games that I mean could have easily went the other way, and that's kind of how it shakes out. And it sucks because I have the Chargers at +140 to make the playoffs.
yeah, so do I.
I believe I have over win totals too, which is not going to get there.
I'm looking at a rough week when all these things go final. I usually do pretty well in these things. It's usually something I'm looking forward to, cashing all these things, but
Yeah,
overly invested in the Browns this year, and
I keep
you know,
checking one of my offshore accounts that I bet Oklahoma Sooners to win the national championship. For some reason, it still hasn't been graded.
yeah,
I just know it's gonna get graded on just like it's never gonna be
the
a
worst time.
yeah,
Yeah,
it'll be like a nail in the coffin type thing. But it's funny when you placing those futures. It seems like such a good idea at the time. I was like adding money onto it, but yeah,
I know. Well, we've had success with them. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So it's like you start to think they all hit.
yeah.
And,
No, it's so true, especially in like the futures market for sure.
uh,
All right, we'll move along here. Another 4:05 start. Texans, Niners. Looks like Trey Lance is going to get the start. But again, quarterback probably doesn't even matter too much versus Houston right here. But
yeah, I mean, I was kind of like Niners are another team I'm invested in futures wise, and I needed them to get up over 10 wins. And that Titans win really hurt that, but I was at least comforted to know that Jimmy G didn't just suddenly suck, and that he had a broken thumb for that whole second half.
yeah,
Because some of those balls were like just way off. Um, but yeah, for this matchup, I mean, this is a team, the Niners, that have one of these top to bottom rosters that's pretty impressive, and they should be able to just line up and beat Houston no matter who they've got at quarterback. Uh, the
yeah,
line is
yeah. 12 and
just go,
right now.
yeah.
12 and
Yeah, my number gets up over that. By the way, I wanted to mention that we kind of went past the last one real quick. I lean Denver a little bit. My numbers, it's one of the ones that really on my numbers sticks out. I lean Denver in that game, but yeah, just wanted to say that. But let's keep it on San Francisco. But
yeah.
San Francisco, I've got this one almost at 15, and that might be the Jimmy G number. I think that is the Jimmy G number. So.
Because that's where it was. That's where it actually opened, or and then the Jimmy G news came and lines come down. But I can't imagine. I can't imagine people like believe in the Texans all of a sudden after beating the Chargers. But I'm curious to kind of see like they are getting bets. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, but um, Yeah, Niners lost, but they dominated that game versus the Titans.
I know.
All right, we'll keep it moving here. 4:25 start. Lions, Seahawks. Seahawks thankfully blow that late lead against the Bears. Looks like Goff is going to be back for the Lions, and this opener or look ahead had Seattle minus 9.5, and as bad as the Lions are, or whatever, it's ridiculous. I don't know how you get to a starting number of 9. And I was staring at it. I could have bet 9. It wasn't like one of those up for a second. It was at a couple offshore books like Monday afternoon.
Yeah.
And
My
Swift.
number actually is up above 9 on this, and I think part of it is I use a metric in my numbers that somebody that we both know
Yeah.
makes a number, and his number is like way higher on Seattle than anybody else I've seen.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about because I was bringing up something similar with Baltimore the other week. Huh?
R.
Yeah, yep. Okay, so yeah, we're thinking of the same. Yeah, that was another one I meant to ask you, but I have Seattle basically 2 points below an average team.
Yeah, I know. A lot of my other numbers come out that way, and I use this guy's like numbers in my numbers, and he's got it. Where is it? Yeah, about the opposite. 2.
Oh well.
Plus 2s.
Oh yeah, that's interesting because my number gets to around I don't know 4.5.
Huh, that's crazy. Yeah, because like
off.
this is one I didn't even highlight. Like the 10, just kind of like I got 10. I don't even get it. I don't.
This is a stay away then for me. When my number's doing funny stuff like that, it's yeah. Swift I think will be back for the Lions too this week.
Yeah, I mean Seattle lost to the Bears last week.
Right. Yeah, I feel like they've thrown in the towel, but
we might be seeing a different Seattle Seahawks team going forward.
Yeah, right.
It might be no more Russ, no more Pete. It could be a very different team going forward.
That Tuck, longtime OG member in the community, Tuck, big Seattle guy. Wonder how he feels about the future of the Seahawks.
It's almost like they didn't get the most out of that would-be dynasty. They
yeah.
I'll never forget the game where the You Mad Bro game where they were having a good season, but everyone thought they were kind of pretenders, and then the Patriots went out west back when they were the legit Brady Patriots, and played them in like a 4:00 game in Seattle. I remember I was watching it at Essex Street, and Seattle beat them, and that was kind of kicked off that run they had. I think they made the Super Bowl either that year or the next year, and blew out the Peyton Manning Broncos in one of the biggest blowout Super Bowls we've had in recent memory.
They got one, right? One Super Bowl?
Yeah, they got one. They made the next one against the Patriots, and that was the very next year. The what's it called? Interception. Who was it again? I can't think of his name right now. Malcolm Butler.
Yeah, Malcolm Butler.
Yeah, and
that was
made a bunch of NFC Championship games and stuff, but
yeah,
I don't think they got the most out of that.
Especially that defense was solid, anchored by Wagner.
Oh, great defense.
They had the boom. What was it? The
Legion of Boom.
Legion of Boom with big fan of Chancellor. Yeah.
Chancellor, Brandon Browner, Richard Sherman.
Yeah.
Who's the other safety? The guy that was more like the free safety.
I know who you're talking about.
He was the best one.
Yeah. Tuck would.
I'll get it.
We'll go on to. This is a 1:00 game, but the rotation.
Earl Thomas.
Yeah, Earl Thomas. Yep. Tank. Is it Tank? I don't know if they call him Tank, but Rams Ravens. The rotation number is in the 4s, but it's a 1:00 game. Must have been one of those flex schedule spots. But I make this number Rams 4, and that's pretty much where it's at right now. 4.5. Circa's showing 5, but I just have to think the Rams here in their passing game, even though Stafford hasn't looked, clean, they take advantage of the Ravens secondary here. Lamar Jackson, I think, could be back. He's at practice this week, but limited. And Cooper Kupp's going for the receiving record here, and I think Cam Akers might be back for the Rams, possibly.
Yeah, that was a surprising one. He came back within the same year.
I thought he was done, so.
This was 3.5 earlier, and I liked it, and then it popped to 4. Now it's 4.5.
Yeah.
I missed out. This is one I've got highlighted on my spreadsheet here, and kind of missed the boat there.
Yeah.
My number has it between 5 and 5.5, so just not enough value left there for me. But at 3.5, I liked it. The old liked it.
Liked it. We have a buddy back home we grew up with. I still to this day don't even think he actually bets for money, but after the fact, or even when the game started, liked it. He always likes it, but never.
Yeah.
Never,
Yeah. And the joke is, it's real easy to say you liked it.
Liked it. A lot of over money came in on this Ravens Rams game. But we'll move right along. Sunday Night Football. I do have an opinion on this one. I actually bet the Vikings. I didn't post it as a best bet. It's not quite there. NFC Norris division game. Both these teams. So I bet the Vikings +7. I think I bought a half point, so I'm laying 120. But both these teams play in such close games. Packers have won 5. They're what do they got? 12 wins, I think. 5 of those are a field goal or less. Which knowing that, if we know that they've got 5 wins of a field goal or less, that's their point differential and their expected wins or their Pythag wins. They have 3 more wins than their Pythagorean wins. So, a big reason why they're in these close games is their defense. They can't stop the run. 7 points just seems like too many against a team that likes to run and get Dalvin Cook back. As of now, he's trending to play. I think he is going to play. And, I like the Vikings here. You got an opinion?
I lean Vikings too. It was 6.5. It's 7 now. I think that's a big spot if you can get 7 here. Vikings might be the best 7. They can finish 7-10. If they were 7-10, they'd be the best 7 team. They'd be the only 7-10 team ever, maybe. But
right.
You know what I mean. But
yeah.
One of the best teams I've ever seen with that winning percentage. They played a bunch of 1-score games. They came out on the wrong end of most of them, and that's because they've got, in my opinion, one of the worst coaches in the league.
Yeah.
But another team that just wants to run the ball. Run the ball until it's negative EV and beyond. And really wish they would kind of give Kirk Cousins the keys and let him drive. But
it might be good this week, though, against this Packers run defense,
Yeah. People love the Packers, but if you look back over the last month, they haven't been as good ATS as they have. I think there was a point we talked about in the year where they were like 9-1 ATS or something. But lately, not the same.
32nd rank in rush EPA on defense.
Yeah, 11-4 ATS. But I think over the last month, it's been a little bit of a skid. But I think and these teams play close games. Typically they know each other. It's a division game. I like the points here.
7 points is a lot.
Green Bay, make that our play?
Yeah, I took the words out of my mouth. Green Bay got some O-line issues there too, but so Vikings for the official podcast
+7 -120 podcast play of the week.
Yeah, and I think we're taking a bad number there because right now on the screen 7 is widely available at probably 120 is fair because it's 7. It's -7 +100 on.
All I can see for 7s are -120s. So
yeah, that's fine. We'll take Vikings +7 laying the dime, and that brings us to Monday Night Football. I like the Browns here.
Like the Browns here. I actually like the other side here.
Do you?
And it's ugly. And Big Ben basically announced this is it for him.
Yeah.
And they've looked real bad, the last few weeks. But again, it's that old thing. Tomlin at home, Tomlin as a dog.
Yep.
I like it, especially up over a field goal. I know, I don't know. It's not. This is not one where I can make an ironclad case for it. There's some things I don't like, but if you just kind of stick to that, it's hard. Over the years, under Tomlin, Steelers as a home dog
They've been
have
gold.
been gold.
Now, so yeah, I like the Browns. My number only has Cleveland -1.5. So
that's another thing. My number's right around there too.
And I'm not going to get to the window on Cleveland, especially not at -3.5. But I do like, what it is. I think the Browns have cost me a lot of money this year. Well, I know they have, and they will in the futures market as well. But I keep expecting them to perform like their roster is, how skilled they are. They are getting a lot of guys back this week.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield's killing them right now. He's killing them.
Yeah,
he's killing them. I mean, he threw 4 picks last week, and they still almost won the game. That's another Green Bay one where they didn't cover. They played a close game.
Yeah,
but that was somebody. I think it was Aikman was doing that game. He made a great point about Mayfield, that when he's a shorter quarterback, and when he's got the rush in his face, he's not able to step into it and drive the ball. He's kind of like, he's got rush in his face, and he's kind of like looking up instead of like on a line, and he sails some balls. He's not able to get like on top of it and drive through it. He's sailing some balls, and you do see him throw picks like that where it's like the ball's soaring through the secondary, and a free safety kind of comes up with it. I don't know that Steelers have the weapons on defense to take advantage of something like that, but they do. If they're pass rushers, they get some of their D line guys playing. He's been turning the ball over like crazy lately.
Yeah, I was talking to Rufus in the NFL channel. We kind of rendezvous at like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. East Coast time, and he's a big Steelers guy. But we're talking about Watt and how big of a difference he is when he's on the field for the Steelers defense.
That's huge.
Just like, even he bails out the secondary by just, putting so much pressure. A lot of these like flailed balls, like you said, because they feel him coming down. And I could see that Baker getting knocked around. He's just one hit away from like, being pretty much crippled. I know he's all banged up, and it's just going to take one good one. And I think that'll help Cleveland, actually. I think Keenan's an upgrade.
Yeah, it's funny, though, I know some talent evaluators around the NFL. They look at Mayfield like he's a bargain right now, and because he's still on his rookie contract, and I guess in that sense he is, and they think that they'll re-sign him. But, God, I don't know. I mean, like you said, with that roster,
right?
That running game, that offensive line, that defense. If you just had somebody who wasn't throwing 4 picks, I mean, they lost the game by 2 to Green Bay with throwing 4 picks.
That's it. They only need a game manager. If they could start this season over and just have like a basic game manager, they'd be over the 10 wins. I know their talent, their roster is too talented.
Who are the game managers in the NFL anymore, though? I mean, like, Mac Jones, maybe? I mean, I feel like...
It's a good point. I feel like there's a lot of bad quarterbacks, and then there's a lot of really bad coaches, too.
Everyone would rather go with a young guy, I feel like, now, and the game manager type. I guess Andy Dalton. Maybe I'd call him a game manager right now.
Right. I can't even really think of many offhand.
There's a lot of the backups,
Yeah. Backups, a lot of scrubs being coached by even worse scrubs.
Yeah.
But I think that is going to wrap up the Week 14 NFL break. Best Bet channel. Or Rich is probably going to be cooking up some more. He's got another one. But, that's going to do it. Make sure you guys have a safe New Year's Eve, all right? Don't be a square. And
amateur night.
Yeah, exactly. Stay in like Uncle Lefty. No, I got a wedding to go to, so I actually will be probably having a few sociables. Hopefully my probation isn't listening. But, We'll see how it goes. Thanks for joining, Rich, as always.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. Till the next time.
Peace.
Peace.